Hi, I'm Scott with Michigan Pool News from Aquatic Source, and with Kevin and Andy. And I guess we've been beating this thing to death with the ADA with our clients and stuff, and we're actually all getting pretty burned out about the whole thing. I think. And we've been talking to our clients a lot, and we've been doing a lot of inspections, checking facilities out, and trying to make lifts fit here and there. And we're gonna run over about 4 things that we're kind of hearing from our clients, and some of the what I'd like to think is ambiguity of the law, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So the first one we're going to talk about is just steps in particular and what they mean, and I'm going to talk about one of my clients right now that we have, is that they have their pool measured, I think it was 300 lineal feet and 3/4 of an inch. They had us come out and measure it because they'd measured it a couple of times themselves, and I think that anybody that's been paying attention and watching and preparing themselves for the ADA know that once you go over 300 linear feet, there needs to be a secondary means of access, maybe not a primary. Well, this is a pool that doesn't have steps and doesn't have any other access, and the owner has kind of alluded to us that you know, I'm putting one lift in this thing. We don't get a lot of traffic with handicapped people, and we're gonna get one lift in here and call it good. And I guess that's their prerogative. We obviously are going to make the recommendation that it doesn't meet the code. So, but again, it's part of it. You know, when they're thinking of $7,000–8,000 for a new lift, that's what they're thinking of. I think Andy's going to talk about somebody else that has a pool over 300 linear feet too.
Yep. We've got another client that has a pool that's over the 300 lineal feet, has a pool lift that has never been used. They've never pulled it out of the back room because it's never been called for, even though they have the lift. They do have a secondary means of access. In the deep end, it's stairs. So in order to solve their problem, we can add a rail to meet the requirements of the 20 to 24 inches in diameter between the rails, so that would meet their second means of access without buying another lift. But they still haven't used the primary one since the pool was built 6 years ago. Yeah,
that's not to say that there's not handicapped people out there might show up to use it sometime, but it is, you know, it's an undertaking to add a rail. I mean, it's going to be expensive. And the other interesting thing about that facility is that the steps are, I think there's like 5 treads, and then it goes right into 20 foot of water, or 15 foot of water.
15 feet of water, yes.
15 foot of water. So, but still, that meets the compliancy, the recommendations up against it. So, and then Kev's got a couple other facilities that we've been talking about too.
The facilities that we've noticed problems with is inconsistent tread and riser heights. You have to, per the ADA requirements, have at least 11 inches of tread and a uniformed riser, whether it be 8s, 10s.
And I think that as you're talking about that, you know, from riser to riser, when they talk about it, is actually from the back of one step to the front of the other.
Correct.
And then the riser height is the height of that riser from
the actual lift of your foot.
Yeah, and from the height from the top to the top of the next tread.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, a client has asked us if these kinds of steps are ADA approved, and there's a lot of measurements that happen to this.
Correct. You have to have heights, and handrails have to be exactly 36 or 38 inches high, and they have to be no more than 26 inches.
24 to 26 between the rails.
Between the rails. And if it doesn't match, then it's not compliant. You have to move handrails and anchor cups. And
well, when Kev did this inspection, we actually sent these pictures over to Paul Sisson at the state, asking him, you know, hey, these steps don't actually really comply with DEQ standards, but they actually do come very close to the ADA standards.
Correct.
And whether these can be used. So let's talk a little bit about gutter profiles and stuff, Andy. I mean, we talked a little bit about this. Here's somebody's gutter profile and what lifts and what reaches and stuff that that people can get away with.
Some of the gutters, the troughs, are so wide that the portable lift, the PAL lifts, won't work. They won't meet the 300-pound requirement when you get the extended reach on it. Something like that's going to have either a battery or water-operated one that mounts right in the deck. And some of the water-operated ones are always mounted into the pool wall, or against the pool wall, so when the swimmers come by, they can hit it. What a lot of people are doing is they're going with the battery-operated lifts that are mounted in the pool deck, so it swings completely away. But they do make them that do exceed the reach of some of these gutters.
Yeah, I know. One of our bigger facilities is actually building a ramp. Basically, they're taking a couple of these tiles out and they're building they've got an engineer working on it, building them a ramp that goes to their deck so they can drive the PAL lift or any other portable lift out to the edge and still maintain that function. And I mean, and I guess by talking about it, the farther out we reach with these lifts, obviously the weight capacity. I mean, is it in the instruction manual? Don't lift out over 6 feet, or?
Yeah, well, the lifts are made for the requirements. The PAL lift will only go out so far. They'll make an extended reach, but it'll only go so far. Usually it's to go up and into a spot. Yeah. Because once you reach out farther, the counterbalance that's in it won't work for the requirements of ADA.
Yeah, okay. Well, you brought us into another one which we've been talking a lot about is this happens to be a hot tub with a transfer walls, and you know, so it calls, some type of rail need to be mounted on that thing?
For a transfer wall, you have to have a grab rail that comes up about 6 inches off of it. The width of the top beam of the pool has to be at least 12 inches wide, so that they can slide from the chair into the spa. But you also have to have a 60 by 60 area of clean deck area for the person to come in with a wheelchair to get in and out of the wheelchair ramp, or the wheelchair.
And I think that's the same requirements on, like for a lift, when you bring a lift, where the lift is installed, so you can get a wheelchair up there too.
That's correct.
So and then Kevin, we talked a little bit about this one, a ramp, and the differences between somebody that might have a zero entry pool and a ramp. They're kind of not the same, are they?
No, they're completely different. Zero entry, you have to have rails on opposite ends of the entry, at least one rail on one end of the entry. And if you have a ramp going into the pool, if it's longer than 30 feet, there must be a stationary landing in the middle. And they're really complicated, and they cannot exceed the 1x12 pitch.
And that 1x12 is DEQ standard. Is that also
Yes.
ADA? Is it in their?
Yes, it is.
In the ADA standards too.
Yep.
So.
And the railing on that is 38 inches wide.
Yep.
38.
Handicap ramp. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I know that when we get closer into the steps, they seem very close together when they call for the 24 inches. I mean,
Yes.
they look so close together on a lot of them
Yeah.
that it really changes it. So, well, I don't know if we're clearing anything up. We're definitely talking about the issues that we're even having, trying to help some of our clients out there, and some of the things that our clients are saying about the ADA. And I think everybody's being patient to see what's going on. And you know, we still have until I think it's March 15th of 2012, and the lift companies are obviously calling all the time, trying to find out, you know, well, what do you think of our lift and that lift? And really, we're kind of just trying to say to our clients, you know, we're not really sure which one will fit the best until we check it out real close and do an inspection, and try to give you guys some idea of what will work the best. So thanks for viewing Michigan Pool News, and I'm sure we'll all talk to you soon.
Yep.